Alright, cool. Yo, welcome to a new episode of Real Talks with Gaim and the lads. To my left, I'm joined by my friend Wrexx. And to my right, I've got Mr Tandoh. So, today we're going to be talking about marriage. Both of them are marriage. I think Wrexx is.
Both of them are marriage.
Yeah. I said marriage. That's marriage. I said cool. Both of them are married. Wrexx is going 3 years, and I believe Mr Tandoh is 2 years. And I'm soon to be married. So I thought, let me gather a couple of the lads and let's talk marriage. Cool. So, first question. I'm going to start with Mr Tandoh. So, why did you want to get married?
Why did I want to get married? I think when you've been with someone for a long time, it's what's next. There's almost what's next in the chapter. The next thing is you've been together for a long time. You like each other. You establish that you want to be with the person for the rest of your life. What's next? Marriage. Some people will say, well, why don't you just stay together and you don't need to marry? Like, what's the paperwork? But I think then you bring into a religion and that around it, then it becomes apparent that marriage is definitely the next thing. And I think that's where it was for me, really.
Like you, Wrexx?
You know what, to be honest, I think same. I'd probably say the same. That's probably like a lazy answer, but I think it just came to that time that it was like, okay, this is the next natural step, natural progression of the relationship. And I thought, just have to step up to the plate and be a man.
So if someone said to you, you could cohabitate, would you do it?
No.
Purely because of religion?
Yeah, I think so.
Same for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's just religion. I just think you set a kind of weird precedent.
Yeah.
You just kind of live together and don't.
Yeah.
What's after that?
You almost are telling yourself,
So,
I'm not doing it in case something happens.
Yeah.
And I think with marriage, you give in full. Like, nothing else matters. Everything else is second to. So I think, you get to the point where you're just like, I'm in it for the long run. So whatever it takes to make it that much more secure, I'll do that.
So you commit. If you're going to commit properly, don't put one foot. You know what
I think even if you speak to people that are in long-term relationship and they're not married, they say anything can happen. You hear that a lot, anything can happen. So that already in your mindset is sort of taking you away from that goal of being together for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
Alright, swiftly moving on. What's been the biggest transition from boyfriend to husband for you? I'll start with you, Wrexx.
To be honest, I think the transition from boyfriend to husband probably wasn't that hard for me because you kind of just, once you get married and you move in and you're together. But I think once my first child came along, my first daughter came along, I think that was the biggest transition. So I think boyfriend to husband is like you wake up the next day after your wedding.
It's the same,
same relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just together. You've kind of like you're committed together now. But I think when you have children and you start building like a family, I think that's when things like sacrifice comes into it. You can't just go out. You can't just go on holiday.
Yeah.
You kind of have to start like actually planning your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is probably the harder transition. I think transitioning from boyfriend to husband pretty easy, but transitioning from not being a father to being a father to being a family man is where all the challenges lie for me anyway.
Okay. Just to pick up on what you just said, do you feel that you are secondary to your kids now that your kids are under?
Definitely.
You're not important no more.
Because I've always heard people say, okay, once you get married, like basically enjoy your time husband with your wife before the kids come, because once the kids come, you're no longer as important. But would you say you're definitely secondary? So your wife will probably fix a plate for your kids before she
Yes, she would. But you know what is? I don't think it's being secondary. Being secondary makes it sound like
it's a bad thing.
It's a negative thing. I think the duty of care just kind of shifts to your child. I've got 3 now, so and they're all under 3. So
you.
Bye, bitch.
So for me, it's like that. For the missus, the care is full time, and it's at the moment it's quite intense. So again, it's about sacrifice. I'm gonna have to put myself not even second, not even fifth. I'm at the back. It's the 3 children. It's her, then it's me. But it's only for a period of time. So you kind of just have to.
And I also think though as well, as when the kids come, and obviously you've got many more than I do, but when the kids come, I think it's not only your wife that shifts, you shift as well as a man. So it kind of, you shift together. So it's like, yes, it was about us and us, but we've got a kid together. So it's not your kid and I'm there, it's our kid. So exactly. So it means that the relationship now shifts from us, and it's now them. And if you do that together in sync, then it almost doesn't matter. You never feel at that point where it's like, oh, I'm behind the kids. You're fixing their plate. Is let's fix the kids' plate. Once we fix them, then we eat. Does that make sense? So it probably is a bit different.
Fair enough. What about you? What would you say is the next transition?
I think for me, similar to what Rich was saying, you get to a point where it's not about you. And obviously for me, I lived a life prior to getting married where it was like I was out, I was doing things. I don't need to, like, not get permission, but I don't need to say, I'm going there. It's just like, oh, I'm out, let me call you back. Because that's what you do to your girlfriend. Like, babe, let me call you back. Yeah, I'm out. Now it's like we're living in the same house. Everything, we do things together. So even our calendars are in sync. What are we doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So I think that for me was the hardest thing because I was very selfish in doing what I do. I just do my own thing and you slot into the things I do. Now it's you're there and everything slots into around what we're doing. So it's a bit different. So that was hard. And just little thing, even finances is a big one as well because everything, I spend my money on me. But now I spend my money on we and us and the family. So it's not like I can't just get up and say, I'm going to spend £300 on trainers. Because I need to think, all right, if I spend £300 on trainers, I've got a mortgage to pay, I've got a son to buy nappies for, I've got this, or we've got that. So it's a bit different. So I think, yeah, that's probably the hardest part, the sacrifice.
Okay, so obviously me being an engaged man, both of you married, a few years deep, a couple years deep, what would you say what would your advice to me going into marriage be?
Run. I'm late.
To be honest, I think what advice would I give? What advice would I give to myself 3 years ago? I think learn to not be selfish. That will serve you well. As Joe said, you can't just do what you want. Like, similar to you, I had that same thing of like, you're not my mum, I don't need to tell you. And that in the early stages, I definitely kind of struggled with that. But I think, as time's gone on, it's just about accountability. Do you know what I mean? Having a wife, you've got somebody that you're going to be accountable to, and you're somebody that's going to also be accountable to you as well. So I think just be ready for that. If there's too much resistance in the transition, then it can be a little bit damaging. And yeah, as Joe will touch on, financially as well, be ready to spend money on not just. Well, some people do it differently. Some people have joint accounts, some people don't. So maybe financials
work out different.
Would be different for different couples. But for me, I would just say, just always keep one eye on finances as well, because a lot of people have issues over finances. I don't have that relationship with money, and I don't really care. Like I'll say it, me and my wife have a joint account. All the money goes into there. If she wants to buy a £300 trainer, she can buy it. I don't business in it.
Rich.
No, it's not even about being rich. I just don't have that relationship. I just don't have that relationship with money. I just don't care about. You hear finances is often one of the ones that people fight over. If that makes sense.
I think for me, advice. Do you know? I haven't been in it too long in it, and obviously there's going to be people that have been married for years, and they might say different. But for me, I think the best thing is to, when you do things together, it helps. And I think, once again, yes, people have different opinions when it comes to finances. In my opinion, the more transparent, the better. So it doesn't mean physically having, like, I've got a joint account, we've got separate accounts, we've got a joint account. It doesn't mean physically having a joint account, but it's being transparent with your accounts. My wife has all my pins to any card I have. She has access to everything I have. So you almost build, they say the two becomes one if you bring a religion. So one means, for me, she has access to everything I have. Whatever I have is hers, and she has is mine. So it just is one person. Do you know what I mean? And if you adapt that in whatever way, so if it's like we've got separate accounts, but yeah, we understand each other, fine, that works for you. If it's you got a joint account and that worked, fine. But I think just that transparency, do things together. If it means that you and struggle together. So if it means that you get married and you have to live on the floor in a kitchen somewhere, you do that together. Because what happens is when you actually get to that point when you have your own luxury, you have your own house, you appreciate each other more. Is that what you work for? It's not, I'm working for this, when I get it, then I'll bring you in. No. Let's struggle together. We ain't got no car, let's do that together. We're walking to church, we do that together. We ain't got peas for Chinese, we're eating McDonald's. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, you do it together. And I think that helps. I mean, that's not all, but...
Okay, interesting. To be fair, I could speak to 10, 20 different people and everyone will give their own perspective of how they view their own marriage. But I'm always very intrigued to speak to married couples, just to pinch something from this person.
So if I could add any more advice, I would say don't compare your relationship to anybody else's, and don't allow your wife to compare your relationship to anybody else's. You know them, so-and-so's husband bought them a car. Like, you don't know what's happening in people's relationships really to be comparing, innit?
What Georgia man they went to see.
You don't know. You don't know anything. You really don't know anything about people's relationships when you actually really think about it, except from what they tell you, and what they tell you is often just one perspective or whatever. So I think it's just dangerous to compare your relationship to people, good, bad, or indifferent. So that's one thing. Stay away from the comparisons.
I like. Appreciate you two being honest. Next question I want to ask is what pressure do men face in marriage?
That's actually a very good question. What pressures? Do you want to know our pressures or just what we think generally?
If you want to make it subjective, I don't think so.
Pressures in general. I think men in general have big egos, and men like to feel like they're men, innit? Like it's a natural thing. But sometimes that causes problems because if you're not that person, you feel like you need to be that person to prove to your wife that you are that person. And that goes back to the grinding together. There's a lot of men that won't accept you sleeping in a one bedroom on your own on the floor because you feel like as a man I need to be that. But more time, a lot of men that you'd see that have grinded and stuff, they will tell you that their story started very different. Their story started with them having nothing, and then with their wife they built. With their wife they do that. I mean, I use my business as an example. My wife has been like instrumental in the business. So without her, maybe my business won't have been where it is. But if I was that egotistic man, no, I need to do it myself and focus. When I get there, I'll bring you in. Maybe that's a problem. So ego is definitely a big thing that men, I think, struggle with. That's maybe comes natural to men in general, like their testosterone and all of that. It's happened, but
it's wanting to be the leader, innit? You want to be in charge.
Yeah, and I think, but the thing is though, that whole leader thing, that's where I think it goes wrong. Because being a leader of your household doesn't mean you're a dictator of your household. A leader is someone that does, like, you know, you always hear the difference between leader and boss. And then you know that a leader is, we do this together, let's go, as in, oh, not you go, let's go together. We go together, let's, and that's what helps, because then you're also building that sort of relationship between you and your wife. It's not just about the wedding dress, in it, but it's about what happens after that. How do you build your relationship together? And then as you get up, you look down and say, right, we've done well for ourselves. You know what I mean? So
I think a lot of men, they struggle with this whole, obviously the whole leadership thing. They see it as it's a man's job.
Yeah.
It's a man's role of responsibility. And we have a lot of women now who, let's be real, can do that role as well. So if you happen to come across a woman who is a leader in her own right, and the guy isn't, but he wants to be, there's going to be a big clash, and it comes back to the ego that you were speaking about.
But then it depends on the relationship, innit? Because there are certain things that in my relationship my wife leads on. Like, it just happens. And that's maybe just, I don't care. Like, let's give an example. If I want to lead everything, we moved into a house. The first day we moved into the house, my wife said, all right, this is going here, that's going there, that's going there. Why do I care? All right.
You could have fought her.
Exactly. I could have said, no, I want a green carpet, not grey. But all that would happen is we'd have had a fight. I come home, I don't care if the carpet's grey. Like, it's grey, fine. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it depends on how you, not pick your battles, but pick.
No, pick your battles. Yeah, pick the correct terminology.
Pick your battles wisely.
some things just don't have any consequence. And
That's
like,
it.
instead of the carpet's grey, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's a guy out there who would challenge his
Yeah,
wife
well,
on that.
that's
And
different.
then it becomes a big thing.
But there's also a guy there that has a wife that doesn't know what carpet. So he is in charge of the carpet, and she's in charge of maybe what car they buy. I don't know, like different things. But my wife picked whether we had Sky or Virgin. I don't care, babe. Does these channels work? What you're providing? Yes. All right. What TV do you want? Where do you want it? There. Because they always say the woman makes the house. And one thing I've learned about women, and I don't know, the women might believe me. You might, I don't know as well. But I have believed that women give respect to men that don't have to force it.
Yeah.
So if it comes natural for you to be a leader, you won't need to throw your weight around. And your wife will just, you know they say that women be submissive and men take it out of context. Like, no, you need to be submissive. Shut up. But it's not even that. It's more so, it's more so, be submissive. Women love men love your wives, Christ of the church. Bang. So what is that? To die for that thing. So you almost die for that. You lay down your life for that. In reverse, women then become submissive to the man that you are, not the dictator that you are. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. That's it.
Okay. Cool. So, how important would you say you and your wife time is before the kids come into the fold? Obviously, the two of you, you can't really answer this because as soon as you married, boom, 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 the kids came.
2 months. 2 months.
2 months. 2 months.
Okay, okay. If you could have waited, do you feel you would have done it differently in terms of maybe 6 months? Me and my wife would have chilled a bit, maybe done a couple more holidays, and then we started the family, maybe. I don't know, but
You know what? I'll be honest. No, for me, because before we got married, we had holidays, we've done everything.
okay.
Yeah.
I just felt like we were just at that stage where it was like,
It's the right thing to
this
do.
is the right time. Do you know what I mean?
For me as well, I've always said that I want to enjoy later on in life. And I think when you're young, you can do more. Like if I look at my mum and my dad and stuff, they're older now, so it's like they can't do
The
more.
energy's not
This is
there.
the time when they should. And when you see your parents working and stuff, you're like, rah. Yeah. So for me, I was like, if I get all my kids out of the way, I grind, I'll do whatever I want to do, build my business, whatever, it'll get to a point where I'm 50, 60 years old and I'm doing all those holidays again. Do you know what I mean? So all that happens is, and obviously everyone's different in it. Some people can't have kids straight away. We were lucky, bro. You were very lucky. So people are lucky, and you do get a child straight away. And if it happens, it happens. For me now, I just try to get all my kids out of the way. I'm young. I've got time for them. I can do things. I can balance so much things. There's no really great stresses on life. As you get older, kids become more stressful. You got worried about, this person's 16, they're going through this and that. You need money, yeah. So that's the time when I want to rest. So for now, I think I wouldn't change it.
I think to add on to that, I think it's also definitely important to grow up with your kids. You don't want to be, as you said, you're going to be too old and you're raising. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
You're young, all your kids are there. Is that your brother or that your dad? That's my dad.
I think just to add to what both of you are saying, anyone I've spoken to who is like 50, 60, who maybe then had their children later on, have always said to me, have your kids early. Have your kids early. Get them out of the way, and then when you're like 60, 70, like he was saying, all the holidays and all of that.
That's an African mentality.
Well, to be
There's
fair,
Africans that say that.
Have
your kids, why are you too far?
to be fair, the people that have said it to me have been African. To be fair, a couple of white people said that to me as well. Just have them, get them out of the way, and then man, you live your life when you're 60, holidays and all of that.
Knowing all these older people, like when I look at my aunties and that, they go on cruises, bro. So we've been on a Caribbean cruise for 10 days. What do you mean? But that's nice, isn't it? And then your children are older and like, mom, dad, go and do that. You've grinded, you've done everything. Go and enjoy your cruise for 10 to 12 days. So some people would say different, but I think if I was giving advice to someone, I'd say, get your kids out of the way when you're young, when you're active, when you're able. When you get older, things happen. Your knees become weaker. Your eyes go. Your back's going. Couple 50 kids at 50. Yeah, daddy, let's go to the park. At least I'll be like, tired. Yeah. So, I'll keep it this way.
Okay, fair enough. Next question is: do the financial responsibilities fall on you once children are in the fold? So, put in context. One, when your wife goes on maternity leave, obviously you're still going to be working partly. She's going to be at home. The child is going to be nurtured by the mum. Obviously, there are things that, to be fair, once the child is here, the dad is kind of irrelevant. You just are the runner. I'm all saying it like I have a child, but to my knowledge, you're just a runner.
I would disagree. Maybe because I've got twins, so I think when you have twins, you become that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
that's it, literally.
Okay, my theory, because I'm not speaking from experience, is obviously the child needs to be breastfed and all that. Let's say you've got one child, the child needs to be breastfed and all of that. So let's say you've come back from work. Your wife needs certain things. Oh, babe, can you go grab this for me? She's obviously still kind of weak, so she's not going to be able to go to Tesco or wherever to go buy the stuff. You are literally her butler. Go grab this, go grab this. Yeah. Maybe she's tired, you switch over, she's prepared the bottle.
I think yes and no. I think mentally yes, but maybe not physically. And when I say mentally yes, I think when a woman has a child, they morph into something different. They morph into the child. Like, everything is the child. They think of the child. Everything comes first. And sometimes you tend to find that some things are even slipped elsewhere. Everything is a child, a child, a child. And that's natural. When you have a child, I think it comes natural. Not to every lady, but I think to women in general, it becomes natural. So I think as a man, you almost need to then put on that hat again and say, okay, we're now in a situation where a child has come. As the head of the house, what does finances now look like? So I don't think maybe you physically use your money, but you have to almost have the head of finance hat on to the side. So like, my wife was obviously making decent money before she went on maternity. That money's not disappeared, she's still got that money. But now I might need to say to her, okay babe, now your salary is X, Y, Z. How do we now manage this together? What do you think of this? How much is it going to cost to look after baby? How much is it going to cost for this? We still need to pay mortgage. We still need to pay that. This is what I think we should do. And then you discuss it. Does that make sense? In my household, personally, we've obviously got a very, very strict saving pot. So now it's like, babe, you make great, yeah, fantastic, that's decent maternity money. Let's save that. I now need to sacrifice on other things so that we can continue as we were. So, an example, if I want to save £800 every single month, £800 has to be saved regardless if you have 1 kid or 10 kids. So, how do I now generate that same £800 to save with the money we have? I need to sacrifice an additional £300 for my salary, which I usually spend on Nando's free £300 a month. I'll give it as an example, do you know what I mean? So there's certain other sacrifices, things, we go cinema every Monday. Maybe we don't go cinema every Monday now. Hey, you got a child, we can't. Let's now use that money for this and that and that. So I think it might not be physically, and everyone's household is different, but definitely I think in my household, and I think probably for you, Rex, as well, your head of finance has to come from. Definitely.
I think, yeah, in addition to it, I would just to add that, yeah, I think it's just all about the planning, the strategic side of the finances, definitely. But yeah, as you said, the actual money side of it, because the reality of it is your salary is probably going to be the same as it was previously. So unless you're thinking of new ways to generate money or new streams of income, then you just kind of have to plan with what you do have better to cover you in those months. To be honest, it's not a long time. The shortfall doesn't tend to be a long time. Probably 4 or 5 months.
But for you, do you think it changes? Because obviously I got one child. Does it change as you get more, like as you have more kids?
I think, yeah. So as you said, the head of finance. Now I've got my head of finance hat on with the twins. We're gonna have to be a little bit more creative with childcare. So when it comes time for the twins to go off to nursery, we can't send them full time like we did with the first one, because it's full price. So we're gonna maybe do 2 days a week. I might drop a day at work, Mrs. drop a day at work, and then mother-in-law will look after one day. So yeah, you just got to be a little bit. You got to have your strategy hat on just to find ways of making the money that you do have stretch a bit more. But yeah, to be honest, that is definitely my role in the relationship. I think in terms of just finances in general, I'm the person that's like, okay, we can save money here, we can switch provider, this, that, and yeah, but all that stuff, that kind of falls all on me.
And I think it makes sense. Like, at the end of the day, you cannot look after your kids as well as your wife can. And like, I know, I've been to your house, bro. I see it. Like, I don't think it's natural for them. Like, you see the way they care for their children and stuff. So it's almost, I feel like it's a duty for you to be able to cover everything. Like, babe, look, I think we're struggling financially here. Let's do this. As long as you communicate that, you know, I think I'll be all right.
Okay. All right.
Last question.
This is what you said that. Like,
No, that's kind of very easy. I got you, man. So obviously marriage comes with its challenges. Obviously this is a subjective question. So what are some of the things you do to make sure that your spark, your connection is still there with your wife? Because obviously she might look different now that she's had a child. Her waist isn't acuity anymore, so she might not be a size X the same way she was when you married her. So what do you do to ensure that, listen, I'm still going to have me and wife time despite me having a child or children in your case?
You go so I can copy you.
I'll let Jared go first. I'm still in early transition with his kids.
What do I do? I think a lot of it starts before you get married, in my opinion. So before I got married, my wife knew I was very business orientated. So a lot of what I care about is business stuff. So everything is about business, like making money, doing things, and obviously what we do is all service providing. So it's all about customer service, all about meeting clients and all that sort of stuff. So very, very quickly, I had to get her involved in what I like to do. Because if I don't, I'm going to have problems. Because I know that nothing is going to stop me from doing that. So if I don't get her involved, I'm going to struggle. So that helps because now we've got a common interest that we both enjoy. So when we sit down having dinner, we talk about that and we enjoy talking about that. Then we try and keep a difference between business and pleasure. So once business is done, business is done. So give an example. We got certain days where it's just us time. So if I come, it might not be doing anything, it might just be talking, but there's no phone, don't call me, I won't pick up, don't call her, she won't pick up. We have that conversation, we do that. Church is huge as well. Sorry, that's my wife calling me bro. Church is huge as well for us, so we do that a lot. We go to church together, we're active in church as well together, so that helps. And I think as you just keep your interests together, you grow together, because you become more and more interested together. But if my interest is here and her interest is there, we got a problem. Then, vice versa, because all I care about is the business and stuff and all of that, I had to then think to myself more of a sacrificial side of things. What is my wife now like? Now my wife's got this new crave for baking. Random, and she done it at the wrong time. When I'm trying to be at this gym team, she's like, "Oh, I made a couple cupcakes. You want to try them?" I'm like, "Of course I want to try them." But so now I'm like, "All right, babe, let's bake a cake together." Do you know what I mean? And then I have to see. I'm not really here. I have to force myself to care. Babe, try this book recipe. Try this cake. Try this thing. I'll taste the cake. Yes, babe, this cake is rubbish. Let's try that again. This cake is not. And then you just the days go. I think. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know, but like you.
Okay, I hear that. Let me reword it for you because obviously you're still in the transition from the twins to obviously your first child. So what did you do when it was just you, your wife, and your first child to make sure that the spark was still there, the connection? Maybe it might have been Thursday as our allocated day after work. Meet me here. We're going to the cinema or whatever. What did you do to ensure that the love's not going to die?
I think probably communication is definitely a big thing.
Yeah.
Take time to actually communicate with each other. So what we used to do when Maya was probably like 7-8 months, every day 9 o'clock we sit down and watch Love Island together. That was our thing. Yeah. So we would sit down and watch Love Island.
So relationships built on Love Island.
Something to anchor point. And then we have our little debates afterwards. We'll be reading Twitter together. That type of stuff. But it's not even about necessarily what you're doing or what you're watching. It's just literally that time together and just making time to actually just communicate with each other. And I think that is important because when you have children, you can get lost in the children, you can get lost in the childcare. And I think even now with the twins, we try maybe even if it's once every 2 weeks, to just go somewhere without them, even if it's just for a few hours, so we can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's just to go shopping and buy stuff, just so we can talk and just spend time with each other outside of just raising kids, because it can consume you.
Yeah.
And when it consumes you, then that's when you start.
Finished.
Do you know what I mean? So I think communication and making time for each other at its core fundamentals. I think all the additional stuff's going to come later for me because we're still in the early stuff. But I think I definitely recognise that you need to just sometimes just take a step away from everything else and just kind of make time for each other.
No, it makes sense.
I love Ireland. Yeah.
Get for Love Island.
I love Love Island. It's my thing, fam. Jane got me into it. I'm not gonna lie. 2 years ago, she got me into it.
Episode of that.
Nah, Love Island is alright. Well, towards the end, it started to
starts to get there, but definitely.
Okay. So that concludes our questions. But just to add, no, it's not really a question. I see you looking at me. So basically, it's just to round it up. So like, if you had 3 things you could say to someone who is about to get married tomorrow, what would be, and not communication, because I know that's going to be one of your top. So I'm going to say communication on both of your behalf, because I know one of you was probably Rex would have said communication. So
I would have said, let me go first.
So your top 3 advice to
Three's hard.
if you can do 2, it's fine.
You know,
Say to someone who's just about to get married.
I'll give you one. Yeah, I think when you get married, yeah, people think like you get married and then it's like everything's magical from there. Like relationships have problems from start to finish. Like at whatever point if you're married 20 years, you might still have some issues. But I think with marriage, the whole point, the whole purpose of marriage is you commit to trying. And I think if you go in it every day with that mentality of I'm going to try. Piss me off, but I love you so I'm going to try. And I think that having that mentality of I'm going to try and just continuously promising to try every day, you might have arguments, you might have disagreements, you're going to have your ups and downs, but at least you know in your heart you've committed to trying. It's not always going to be easy as well. So I'll tell you that for free. It's not always be easy. You're not always going to see eye to eye. But I think just that commitment to trying is what marriage is about. You're in it for the long run. You're just going to try regardless of the situation. I think that's what your vows are basically telling you that you need to do.
No, I agree.
You're committed to try. That's one, and that's what you're going to get from me.
Bad drop. For me,
Those are good ones, though.
be selfless and be consistent. Like that's for me, selfless and consistent. Consistent is like it's similar to what you said, but when you are consistent, you see results, things improve. So it's just like gym, obviously, it's like this gym to get it. but like they always say, consistency is key to success, innit? So you're consistent. So yes, you will fall. Yes, you will argue, but you pick it up and you start again. Yes, she'll piss you off. Yes, you'll piss her off, but you pick it up and you start again. And then that selflessness is putting everything else before you, because once you have that mentality of me, it will never work. Because everyone is different. Everyone is selfish. But 2 selfish people coming together need to be selfless in order to balance, because nobody's you. And even you marrying you will piss you off. You know what I mean? So you will piss yourself off. So that goes to show that nobody, naturally, everybody will annoy you. There's nobody in the world that won't annoy you from some way or whatever. So you come together, then you have to make yourself selfless. Certain things you got to bite. You just got to bite the bullet. Your husband always leaves his boxers on the bathroom floor. It pisses me off. I want to punch him in the face, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to pick up these boxers and say, babe, please don't do that again. And then the next day he's going to do it. I'm going to say, please don't do that again. Then the 3rd day, he's going to do it. I'm going to keep quiet. He's going to say, babe, what's wrong? I'm like, babe, I'll ask you 2 days in a row to not please put your boxers to sleep. And then what's the man going to do? One day he's going to pick his box. He's not going to do it because he's also selfless. And he knows, I want to leave my boxers, but I'm not going to do it. That's it. So, yeah, I think that's for me. Just be selfless and be consistent.
Cool. So obviously, man asked for 3 and both of you gave him 1. But it's cool. I mean, 2.
They're selfless and consistent. And he's for free, innit? We are 1. We are brothers.
Alright, cool. Fair enough. But, no, man. Love for you guys coming. Appreciate that.
Pleasure.
So, that's a wrap. Real Talks with Gaim and the lads. Wrexx, Dr. Gaim, and Mr Tandoh signing out. Shout out to the social.
everyone to follow me still. DJ_Wrexx on everything.
Oh, so you're a DJ, man. Hey, follow the gram, yeah. Mr Tandoh MC, MT Events Management, MT Events Catering.
Is it not?
MT Events football.
MT Events Weddings, MT Events Marriage Advice.
But yeah, man, peace and love. Thank you very much for watching today's episode of Real Talks with Dr. Gaim. For more content, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Peace.